What's going on, y'all? It's TCG here, back again with another Market Watch Tuesday. Had some stuff going on this weekend, didn't get to record, but we're back on Tuesday. You know I can't forget the Market Watch, and today we're going to be taking a look at EB01 prices again. I know that we looked at them last week, but just wanted to touch base on them again, show you what's kind of floating, what I might pick up, what you might pick up, stuff like that. And then one of my friends had a good question for me the other day and asked, what kind of commons and rares should you be pulling out of your bulk? So we're going to be taking a look at that through all the sets as well as all the structure decks, and taking a look at what kind of commons and rares are really worth anything, really. So off the bat, let's go ahead and take a look at EB01. So EB01 cases are still about $1,500. That's really not a bad price. $130 for a box. I know I saw them on like Core TCG, I think, the other day for $125 a box. That's really not a bad price. Honestly, that's the cheapest booster box we've had in a very long time, and hopefully it continues that way. But I think it's just this set being so small, people are not wanting to pay as much for it, so there's a lot of extra allocation sitting around and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we fall with that. But Chopper manga has shot back up to about 700. I think people were starting to pick these up around 5 and 6. So that's good to see that that's going back up. If you pull one of these, I'd hold on to it. Mangas are always worth something, you know. Mr. 2 Alt Art has gone down a little bit. It was 140, but now it's about 125. Still really good. You know, if you pull one of these, that's your entire box value. You can usually trade it away. Somebody will want that. It's a very pretty looking card. And then next we have Kid and Killer still at the top end, right next to Flampe and Mr. 2. I mean, the listings really haven't changed that much. Everything's still kind of in the same order, I'd say. Kid and Killer still sitting about $55. Flampe still about 43. You know, those are two of the best cards in the set right there next to Mr. 2 himself. But then we got Odin, who has also fallen down to about $35. I'm still waiting on this to go down a little bit more. I have a feeling it'll float down just a little bit more, and once it does, I'll be nabbing this up, and I think you should as well. I think it's a great leader with a great potential in the future. Right now, it just doesn't seem to have the support that it needs to push itself into the meta, but I could see some extra cards coming out to help it boost up eventually. Mr. 2 still floating around that $35 to $40 price tag. You know, I don't see this really moving that much. I thought it would, but it's honestly such a good card. It goes in like almost any purple deck, and a good generic secret rare like that is going to have a price tag like this, and it probably will not receive a reprint in a very long time. So if you're wanting to play purple at all, I would recommend grabbing a play set of these once you can find them at the cheapest, lowest point, because about $35 is probably as cheap as you can get them for. Maybe you can pick them up off your locals for some trades or something like that. But Brook surprisingly holding up right behind that as well with the Chopper. Chopper being super playable, and then Brook not only being fantastic art-wise, but being super playable in 07 in the Rob Lucci build. So be sure to pick up your Brooks if you don't have those already. The supers will take a look here in just a second, but the alts for $30 still seeming kind of cheap. I feel like these have only gone up. Yeah, these have only gone up. People have been snagging them. They know how good of a card this is, and you might want to do the same. Hiyori still sitting about $22. This is a great card, very playable in any deck that wants to play a Wano build. So that's kind of why its price tag is sitting like that. It does have the rare version, though, if you're not wanting to spend those bucks. And then Kyros, as well as Hanyabo, have shot down to below $20. I knew they would. They're just not great leaders right now. Maybe we'll receive some support in the future that'll boost these leaders back up, and they'll see some kind of competitive play, because I do think both of them are really cool. My brother was playing Hanyabo the other day at Locals, and we'll have some of that footage on our Enel Locals gameplay here in the upcoming days, and you'll get to see that deck in action. But it's super cool. I feel like it's just missing a couple things, and maybe we'll get some more support for it. Same with the Kyros. I feel like it's just missing a couple things. But I think this is a great time to snag both of these. You're looking at $15 for Hanyabo, $20 for Kyros. That's a great price for some alt leaders, in my opinion. Shirahoshi also is in about $18. These are pretty cheap, too. I think this card's really good after Sokka goes away. The only deck that really has good way to get rid of it after that is going to be Law. So placing these on the field and kind of looking at your opponent like, what are you going to do about my blocker? Feels really good in yellow decks. You know, you kind of just put this on the field, and if they can't address it, it just kind of stays there the entire game until you really need to use it, because if they KO it by any means other than it getting attacked over, like, you get to heal one. So it feels really good. Next we got Cavendish, still sitting about $17. If these go down anymore, I'd say pick these up, because these are going to be really playable for a really long time. It's a very good card. Miss Wednesday at about 17. I feel like this is kind of high for this card just because it's only playable in like 2 decks. So I feel like it's just a little high, but it's got that waifu tax. Same with Viola, waifu tax. This is a little more playable, I think, a more generic card, but I still feel like it's kind of limited to a couple decks right now. Maybe we could see some extra decks playing with life face up in the future, but for now, I feel like Viola is just kind of limited in what decks it goes in. Laboon still sitting up at 12 bucks. Inazuma has gone up. I know Ivankov was in a regional this past weekend, and people got a little hyped up over that, so this has spiked back up just a little bit. So be on the lookout for your Ivankov cards going up. T-Bone, about 11 bucks. You know, this is just played in Sokka right now. Pretty cheap alt art, but Sokka getting banned in about a month. This kind of falls out of favor. No decks really play this other than Sokka, so I'd move them if you have them, honestly. Khalifa, 6 bucks. Not a bad pickup, but still playable in only 1 deck. Same with Mr. 1. Really only playable in like 2 decks. So that's a look at all the alt arts. Now let's take a look at some of these supers. But before we jump into that, you know I got to shout out today's sponsor, and that's going to be Dueling Guard. If you haven't checked it out already, they got a sick new One Piece collection up on their website. I know you love the One Piece product. They know you love the One Piece product. They gave us more One Piece product to buy and use for our decks. Absolutely stunning. They've got new Zoro deck box, Luffy deck box, restocked their Grand line as well as their Nami binder, new Luffy binder, whole bunch of playmats, all of it. Go check it out in the link in the description. Make sure to save yourself some cash by using code GumGumTCG.
Huh? You still aren't using Dueling Guard? Then you aren't using the best TCG accessories on the market. Dueling Guard makes the highest quality TCG deck boxes with the most stunning artwork I've ever seen. Their modular design allows for easy access to your decks and dice. They don't just make deck boxes, they also make the highest quality binders with side-loading pages to keep your expensive cards safe and protected. They also make high-quality playmats and now even sleeves. I personally use their sleeves on all of my cards and cannot go back to another sleeve after I've been using theirs. They are grippy and slick when you need them to be, and I have no doubts that my cards are protected in them. Gear up with Dueling Guard to protect your cards in style. Don't forget to use code GumGumTCG to get a discount at checkout.
Alrighty, y'all, so let's go ahead and look at these. Like I said, Cavendish still floating about at the top of the super pack. $5. I'm telling you, this card's really good. Played in Bonnie. You can play it in Law. You can play it in Red Green Luffy. We'll probably get another Supernova leader eventually. I guess you could play it in Kid too. Like, definitely worth picking up. It's a very, very strong card. Having extra Dawn manipulation on a body like this is very, very strong. And yeah, I'd say pick these up if they dip below $4. If not, and you're wanting to play those decks, grab them now before they go any higher. Viola still at $4. I'm not buying those yet. I will hold off. I don't see a need for that card to be $4. I don't feel like it's that good. Chopper at $4, I don't think is a bad price. Shirahoshi at $3, I don't think is bad. Brook at $2.50 really isn't that bad either. But these rares, man, we gotta talk about these rares. Like, I know that sometimes you can get 1 or 2 out of a box max, but like $2.50 for Flampeys and $2 for Hidden Killers is kind of just mind-blowing to me. But they are really, really strong cards, and I'd say if you don't have your Hidden Killers yet, you might want to snag them. This card's really, really good in any deck that has the red color. And then same for Flampe. This card's really good in almost every yellow deck, so I'd say those are definitely cards you want to grab. Miss Wednesday, $2. Still don't feel like paying that price for it. I'd pay the Inazuma price on it all day, but $2 for just 2 decks, no, I'm good. Laboon, I think this card has some good utility. I feel like it's just a not as strong Kuzan, so if you're looking for a budget Kuzan, there's your Kuzan right there. Laboon, 35 cents. I'd grab them. And then there's not really too much else to talk about. We know that Sanji's pretty good card for Uta. And then Apu, if you are wanting to play green Supernovas, Bonnie, anything like that, you definitely want to try and pick up these Apus. 25 cents a piece right now. Like I said, you can kind of get shafted on these boxes sometimes and only get 1 copy of a rare out of box. So I'd snag these before they go up anymore, back to around these Kid and Killer prices, stuff like that. Kingdom Come also being a really, really strong card as well. I'd grab a playset of these if you are a yellow player. Other than that, I don't think there's too much else to talk about. Off-White, that's a good card for Dofi. If you have these, you might want to pull them out of your bulk. Dofi was featured in the a regional this weekend, I believe, and a lot of people are hyping it up. But I think Ragnarok is also another card to watch out for there. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of these rares and commons that you might have in your bulk. And when I filtered these, it showed me alt arts too, because technically these are rares. They're listed as rares and uncommons and stuff like that on TCG. So we have a lot to dig through, but off the bat, our top end is going to be Queen. And Queen has gone back up. Queen is about $40 a piece right now. It still does not have that reprint that we need. I figured it probably would have gotten one by now in a tournament pack or something. We did get a reveal for OP08 SP Queen blocker. That looks sick if you haven't seen it, doing his little zoom dance. But for now, Queen still doesn't have a really good reprint or one that's even accessible. So this is kind of your option right now. $40 Queen. If you got him, you might want to move him now before we do get a reprint for him. So that's your top end right there. And then it's also got some box toppers in here. If you didn't know, Perona box topper is $20. So if you have that, you might want to pull that out and try and move that. That's pretty good for a rare. But we don't have anything else on this first page. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next page, and we're still going to be seeing some alt arts. But our next contender is going to be Hina. These sitting about $10, $11 right now. I would move these if you have them. I think that this card is not going to be played that often once Sokka's kind of out of the room. You know, you could definitely still see it in some lists and some certain instances. It's definitely still good to combo with Rebecca. But if you have these, I might move them now before it gets a reprint as well. And yeah, $10, get your money's worth out of them. If you bought those structure decks, that's your money back on those structure decks right there, especially if you're not playing them. Next, we got some more alt arts and stuff. Really, just a whole bunch of these alt arts. But shortly behind Hina is Love Love Mellow. If you didn't know, these are about $7.50 a piece right now. If you're not using these in a Dofi deck or a Nami deck or even the upcoming Boa deck, then you might want to go ahead and move them for $7 because I think that's not a bad price to be moving these for. I mean, if you're not playing them, you might as well put them in your trade binder and try to get some extra cards out of them. Next behind that, we got Otama. If you didn't know, Otama is an uncommon from Romance Dawn. That's $6. Really good in Law, really good in any red deck, just being a good 2K counter that has a great on-play ability. Put these in your binder, man. Someone will snag them off of you. I guarantee it. And then next we got Gecko Moria with all the 7 Warlords hype coming out here soon in 07. Definitely a card to be on the lookout for, but I believe this is getting an SP in 08 as well, so that's pretty cool. But I do see a lot of these cards getting a reprint in our One Piece The Best set, which I believe comes out before 08. So if you're not playing with these cards, I recommend you just try to move them, get rid of them, list them on TCG Player, trade them with your friends, something like that. Get your value out of them if you're not using them, and take that money and get some upgrades to your deck. Next we got Ein. This is a card from the Starter Deck 5. That deck really didn't have a lot of value going for it until way later that year. It was last year. So Ein being played in Law, it has shot up quite a bit. Yeah, you probably have a couple of these laying in your bulk. Your locals might have a whole bunch of those laying in their bulk, because that was a card that a lot of people didn't foresee being worth anything. Khalifa Dash Pass, Dash Pack, if you got this out of your Dash Pack, $6 because of the Rob Lucci deck. Definitely keep an eye on that. And then we also have Doflamingo, always been about a $3 card, about $4 right now. Rare Dofi blocker. That's just a great card, man. I mean, you gotta have Dofi if you're playing blue, right? Next we got Mihawk, sitting about $5.50. Like I said, that 7 Warlords hype is coming up, and Mihawk's definitely one of the better 2K counters for that archetype, so you might want to move these. And then Momonosuke, got a lot of hype behind it right now. A lot of people are trying out these Wano Samurai builds for different green decks, and Momo being a crucial part of that, putting it about $5. Same with Izo. Izo being searchable off the Momo in those lists, really strong. About $5. You might want to move those as well. Then we got Radical Beam, about $3.50. Not a bad uncommon as well. Kind of hard to find though. Romance Dawn is very old. And then we also have Great Eruption, about $3.75. These were $20 at one point, and if you moved them at that time, you're the GOAT. But if you didn't, move them now if you can. If you got a friend looking to build Sokka before it's gone, get rid of these and never touch them again. Next we got Brule, about $3 from the Big Mom Pirates deck. People just aren't really playing this card in yellow right now, so if you don't have these, I do recommend picking these up. I think this is a great pickup for $3. These trigger blockers are great, especially in yellow when you're trying to trigger stuff out of your life all the time and interrupt the game state. This is a great card to do that with, and $3 is probably the lowest I think it's been in a while, if I'm being honest. Like, we had a spike where these were $12 at one point. So $3 I don't think is a bad price for that at all. Next we got Sanji's Pilaf. You probably have a bunch of these sitting in your bulk. Get rid of those, man. $3 for Sanji's Pilaf? That's crazy. Then we got Suru about $2. Capone at about $2 as well. And then an interesting one. I believe people are trying this out in Bonnie. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, though. But that's the only thing I could really see. Eroge. Big price spike. About $250 from the Worst Generation structure deck. So if you got these, you might want to pull them out of your bulk. They're definitely going to be sitting in there. Next, you got Punk Gibson. This has always been about a $2 card. Always spikes up and down depending on what's being played in the format, and $250 ain't a bad price either. I think we're running low on Steam though. Narikabura Arrow is about $2 as well. Not that it's a played card, but I think just to give that one structure deck for Yamato some kind of value. You also didn't know Helmeppo is about $2 as well. Same with Apu and Bonnie from those structure decks. Very, very good cards coming up in the next set. I believe Helmeppo still played a little bit in Rob Lucci, and then Apu and Bonnie, respectively, in the Bonnie deck, just being great Supernova cards. Sanji from Romance Dawn is also $2, and Blast Breath has started to go back up as well. Maybe not back up. Oh, yeah, this has just seen a slow rise in price. So if you don't have Blast Breaths, you might go ahead and nab those up. Guild Tesoro also being a good card, $1.75. Kaya's were like $5 not too long ago. But with the tournament pack reprint, this has gone back down, and the tournament pack price is up because it's a different art. And then next we got Navy HQ, also sitting about $2. Page 1, about $2. Buena Festa, about $2. Brook, $1.50. Ice Age, $1.50. Jambe, about $1.75. Satori, $1.50. I mean, you probably got a whole bunch of these cards just sitting in your bulk and you didn't even know it, and they're worth some money. You could throw these in your binder, get some trades done, get some cards you're looking for, even list them on TCG Player. I know they're not large amounts. It's not crazy amounts of money, but small amounts can add up, and if they're just sitting in your bulk doing nothing for you, why not put them to use somehow? So, not too much else to talk here. Everything starts to fade out, but there are some cards I think you should pick up, like Marco blockers. I think you should have guard points on hand, just for this new Marco leader coming out. Kiku Nojo is another one, about $1 for a rare from 06 that you should keep an eye on. But that's about all I got for you today. Honestly, the rest of this kind of starts to fall off. We got 75-cent cards and stuff. Just some really good cards, but nothing really too noteworthy. So like I said, go check out Dueling Guard in the description below. Make sure to go check out my Enel Locals gameplay later this week, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one on Market Watch Mondays. Peace.